Hello, everyone.
How's everyone doing today? It's a spring week. Nice and sunny over here.
We are Sasha and the cat coming at
Welcome back.
you.
We're excited because this Friday is Kat's birthday.
Woo! 29 years young.
So naturally, I'm going to visit her now that she lives closer, especially.
Isn't
Super
it
excited.
weird? That is so funny. It's like sometimes I don't see some of my friends that live like 30 minutes away. Well, obviously,
I know.
in Miami, not here. And here we are driving hours.
6 hours.
Or even crazy enough to be like, let's just meet up halfway.
Yeah. Even for a little bit.
Yes, even for a day. Literally for a day. It wasn't even 12 hours.
Yeah.
So we're excited for anyone who is joining today. Today we just have an awesome topic in mind. I kind of love also though that you're going to be visiting this weekend. My hair is just not like, what is this?
Oh no, mine's like ridiculous. Don't even worry about it.
What is happening here? Just go.
There you go. I love it. That's edgy.
It's like throwback here. If anyone has ever seen me in bangs, they'll know, like front bangs. Sasha has. It's quite unfortunate.
Yes. Thailand trip.
And it just kept parting like the Red Sea over here. Like it was horrible. Horrible. Can I just say, side note, we'd love to hear what anyone thinks too. We were thinking about just taking out our background, right? Considering that. Oh no, did I
Yes.
use Sasha? Oh, okay. But I just want to say for today, I love this.
Oh no, that's
me,
amazing.
But
Yeah.
also I love the vines behind you.
I know. If we had like a different backdrop every call, I think that would be like
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
I also like that Sasha loves to have printouts of photos.
It's also like I wish that photo was a lot bigger than it is. Like I put it on that wall and I was just like, this is horrible. This wall is still in the making, you guys. This is not how it's going to look. I did have like a sheet hung up on it with like lantern lights around it. And I don't know, I just wasn't digging it. Like I don't know. So I'm in the middle of transitioning this room design wise.
We're really excited to see what you come up with.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to ask Kat like 4 times before it actually happens, but Kat's my design guru.
Your vine wall is awesome.
Oh yeah, no. Amazon did really well with that.
I approve. This thing was actually, I really love it. And it was, at first I was like, this is going to look so janky, but it looks like a piece of art.
Oh yeah, I know it looks really good.
But it's
really
just streamers.
It looks awesome.
It took
I
me
like
20
really want to
minutes.
take photos in front of it. Like,
I know, I made it and I was like, I kind of want to keep this up for Sasha because
no, please do.
I was like, this is really cute. And I feel like it's like a little vibe. Like if you were sleeping under it.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited.
So because it's my birthday this week and I am also in the middle of this shoot, this is our next kit called the Dots and Dashes. It's a birthday geared kit, but you could also just get it like a regular party. But we thought it would be interesting to talk about the importance of having a pre-launch in your business or even for each product. So this would be for a specific product. So that my timeline is a little shorter for it than what we would be talking about. But if you are starting a business, as little as it is, little, meaning like, oh, you're like, oh, I'm just doing it on the side or whatever. The reasoning does not matter. You should have a pre-launch, even if it's like the most minimal thing you can do.
Yeah, and we'll talk about different types of pre-launches because as we were kind of like planning for this episode, we've always heard of pre-launching with just pre-launching for your business, but I feel like there's like mini pre-launches that can happen even once you've started a business or just for different parts of your business. So we'll kind of get into like different types too.
And we want to note that, you know, now I take my pre-launches a little bit more seriously, but I feel like I didn't do a big pre-launch for my business because, and I feel like this happens to a lot of people, and let me know what you think, Sasha, but because you kind of just stumble upon it, you know, not a lot of people, I mean, some people are not just like, I wake up and I want to create a business and they go through the process ABC, you know, it's just like, oh, I started selling to family. Now I have a website and it's just like developed. But I still think it's important, even if it's not this big party that you throw or anything, it's important to hype up some kind of launch date or launch week or something.
I agree. I think I guess me and Kat are also talking about this because we did not do a pre-launch for our businesses. So we're kind of just sharing one mistake we did regarding our own businesses, because ever since I feel like we've seen how important it is and wish we would have done it. So yeah. And I think, I mean, Kat also does mini kind of pre-launches, and I think a lot of people do with their products where it's like, this product's coming out soon and they kind of like amp up the excitement for it before it actually launches. So that's a similar example, but it's really important because it's a good way to try to guarantee sales right away. And I think ultimately that's why, not why, but that's why we're having this business in the first place and wanting to commit so much to it. And I think it's hard to, or it's a little discouraging if you launch and you're now fighting for sales. So I think it just gives you a big leg up if you start with a pre-launch, because you can already have some sales going into starting your business officially. So it's really helpful for that.
Yeah, and I think that's something like a lot of people overlook, and I think we definitely overlook, like, oh, you could basically sell out as soon as you start. Like the Salty Donut, which is a donut, used to be a donut truck in Miami. At the time was like artisanal donuts, and oh my gosh, you couldn't get donuts in Miami actually, except for like Dunkin' Donuts, which is funny because you're in Miami. But this donut truck, I mean, they would sell out like every day, and I was like, okay, because they're a truck, maybe they don't have that much. But I think they hyped up the fact that they were going to be in a physical store so much. So I think their launch was actually the store launch, you know. It was like you couldn't get donuts for like
no,
literally any time past like 1 p.m. It was just out. I'm like, so either they're not making a lot to create a cool atmosphere, which is working, or they really are selling out.
yeah, no, it was pretty insane.
So anyway, I just wanted to say a little bit about the pre-launch. It's probably the most hype you're gonna get once your product has launched. I mean, it's there for everyone,
right?
But, and I'm not talking about I also want to see what you think about this, because you're creating a hype, whatever. But nowadays, I think there's so many products. There's so many people starting businesses. I just saw a post the other day of someone who's starting a business on like skincare products, and the part of me was like, I guess, I mean, you could say this about any business, but I'm like, what are you going to do that's different? And then that's going to make me want to buy it over someone else. And I mean, I guess I just already think of people that I know, like even her old boss, Orion, that has his own second line. Like he has his own skincare line. And I love the concept of it and all. And I'm like, and this new guy's going to start it. I'm like, how are you going to beat Orion? Like, I think his stuff is great.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, I think there is some degree of like, you can't really pull off super exclusive anymore, meaning like you don't really know what the product is about, but you want it, because if people don't understand it, then they're just going to go next. I feel like that's the only difference I want to include from being in 2021 that I wouldn't have said 5 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point, because I think part of the pre-launch is honing in on your message or your mission. So kind of like revisiting your elevator pitch and seeing like what 2 to 3 things are the main things you want people to think of when they think of your business. And then conveying that in whatever pre-launch material you have. So whether it's like you're building up your Instagram by adding, aesthetically pleasing photos that match the vibe you're going for, or you're pulling on other people's products so that you can compare yours to them and show how different yours is. Whatever it is, like however you handle your pre-launch, I think it should ultimately just bring people to like the root of your business and why it's different. Because especially today, like there's just so many businesses, like everyone has something going on. So I mean, yes, you can first like pull in locally and like the people that are supporting you locally, and that's probably where you're going to pull in naturally starting off. But then by word of mouth, it would spread. And if you have a pre-launch, then those local people could still be telling other people that they know that could be further away about this new product that's coming out soon. And I feel like it also just, I think a pre-launch also invokes that curiosity and that like excitement, which I think people are drawn to no matter what when it comes to any product or business. So.
Right. And I think a big thing about, like, let's say exclusivity is one of your top 3 messages that you want to get across. It shouldn't be so much about exclusivity of like, what is this anymore, as much as maybe it's exclusive because it's only a limited quantity that's available. Or it's exclusive because it's LeBron's favorite whatever. Like, it's different now than I think before, where you're like, oh, is this a club? How do I join? Like,
yeah.
So that was one of the big differences that I wanted to note before we go into our little checklist. The other one is, I think, like you just said, word of mouth, I still think is one of the biggest ways to grow, but I feel like people need to adjust their way of thinking, and let me know what you think, and let us know what you guys think in the chat too. That social media or virtual connection is kind of the new word of mouth. And even if things go back to normal, like we can go out again, people rely so much on like Yelp reviews and all of that stuff that the new virtual world is kind of the word of mouth. And maybe you don't need to be best friends with the person, but you still rely on their feedback.
Yeah. I think that's true. And I guess I just started thinking too, like a pre-launch could also serve in that context. It could serve a good purpose in kind of fine-tuning your product or service, where like maybe you gave your product or service to 3 people to try out, or did like a test run with them to see how it was working for a customer or potential customer. That way you could work out the kinks. And I guess that relates to like the virtual community thing, because by fine-tuning your product, you're also like spreading the word and making sure that you're like closing up any loose ends, I guess, before going live.
Yes, that's important to clarify, because I feel like a lot of people think pre-launch is just before my business launches. It's not that. It's a created plan for marketing before your business launches. So you're fine-tuning your product. You're not creating the website. You're fine-tuning the website. You're fine-tuning your product. You're reaching out to people and getting feedback, like, to fine-tune, not to even be like, oh, what target audience do I have? Because that's technically pre-launching,
Yeah.
But it's not pre-launching.
Well, it's almost like it's like pre-live. Like it's before you go live with your business. But your business is already alive. Like everything is already kind of set in stone and like pretty good to go, but you're just making some final touches and trying to gain traction before those final touches are closed in on, and it's completely live. So I guess a better word is like before going live.
Yes.
Because I think, and I'm just thinking of this even now that we're talking about it, I didn't think about it before, but aside from all that too, I feel like once you start your business or once you make it live, right, you tell people, here's my website, this is where you can find me, like all your listings are up, all that stuff. It's like after that, you don't want to run into issues. You don't want people to like click certain links or, find any misspelled words or any issues. You want to make sure that's all done with. So I feel like the pre-launch period could also be suitable for like double checking everything, I guess.
Right. So yeah, you're double checking everything internally, but externally you're amping it up. Like,
Yeah.
to other people, you're just amping it up, but inside you're also like, yeah, is this working?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are important things to note because a lot of times we'll be like we put up the listings and we have the website. We're like, we're ready to go. And it's like,
Yeah.
you didn't even amp it up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and some people might think, oh, nobody cares about my business because no one knows what it is yet. If no one can tell what you sell or what you do, then you haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
Like you're not
Right.
ready. All right, so let's go into the checklist a little bit. So we just have
Yeah, that's a
few.
good segue. What we were just talking about is perfect.
So the first thing we kind of started talking about was creating a plan. So yes, setting up your website, your social handles, a rough marketing plan, Sasha. But it's also, I think, yeah, it's setting up everything, but it's the marketing plan that people tend to not think about, I think is a big part of it. And
I just
Mhm.
yeah.
Go.
Well, for context on how we kind of messed up, or I guess how I messed up is like when I thought of pre-launch, all I really thought of is like you might have a landing page on a website where people can go and just see like coming soon or whatever, just to kind of get excitement. And you might be able to enter your email address so that the business can reach out to the person and say, hey, we're now live. Here's our products, whatever it is. And then obviously like creating some sort of aesthetic or design that matches your business through your social media platforms, or just sending out Facebook messages, maybe adding people on Facebook and kind of building up that side of it too, which is all super important. I'm not discounting any of it, but I guess that's like where the cap was for me. Like that's all I kind of thought.
That was our pre-launch.
Yeah, but it's way deeper than that, and you could probably even go into more depth than we will today. But basically the list we just kind of came up with and that we're going to discuss in this conversation is kind of just covering the ins and outs of a pre-launch or like pre-going live so that you don't forget any component of it, because it is way more important than I think a lot of entrepreneurs admit or discuss. So
Yeah, your goal is probably the day you launch is to get, I mean, depending on your business, you know, if you have a really expensive service, I can't be like, oh, you get a ton of orders. But depending on how you prepare, pushing it back an extra 2 weeks may be worth getting the 5 sales that day. Whereas if you launch now, you get no sales, and you're probably not going to get sales in those next 2 weeks because you didn't launch it. Like nobody knows about it. So, and telling your grandmother that you're having a business, you're starting a business is not the same thing.
Yeah. And I think that's why like we start with creating a plan, because the pre-launch itself needs a pretty good plan. Like you should have a pretty good idea on how you're going to handle all the aspects of the pre-launch. And it'll also set you up for success once you finally go live, because you'll already have a good handle on the flow going forward, where I feel like we kind of like launched our businesses or went live and then we're like figuring everything out,
Right.
like running around. But I feel like if you have a solid pre-launch plan and you stick to it and you have a good timeline, that once you actually go live, you're able to focus on components of the business that will help
You came back.
that will help speed up the sales that you might gain. Bless you. Bless you.
One more.
No. False.
Just kidding.
So yeah, I think that's where it comes into a lot of importance, is it just sets you up for success once you go live. So creating a plan, and within that plan, a timeline, I think would be essential. Like timing, everything.
Yeah, timing is so important, because I think the recommended is planning it out 2 weeks to 4 weeks before. I mean, my product probably should have a little bit more launch, a longer launch timeline, but life is how it is, and it's basically a week of launching. But I think a business is obviously more.
Yeah.
there's more going there. But and they recommend to launch in the middle of the week, which I've also done. And I kind of agree with this because this one's only coming out on Friday because my birthday's Friday, and the whole hype of it is that it's related to my birthday. Because I used to have a birthday theme that's this theme. But normally I do the middle of the week launch because there you hype it up in the beginning of the week, you launch it, and then you keep the hype going so that it doesn't just drop off. Like if I do it on a Saturday, then Sunday, like, nobody's even listening. And then,
like, midweek allows you to, like, remind people on the weekend.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Be like, oh, this just came out. Oh, my gosh, look, it's so cool. We're using this product. Because also repetition, as we know, is key. So apparently it takes 7 times before someone gets annoyed.
Right.
So if you haven't followed up with people 7 times, you're not doing it.
Keep going. Yeah.
I think the other part that's important about the plan is it's not just the pre-launch and then you launch and you just forget about it. There's a pre-launch. There's usually the launch day, but we can call it the launch week because there's a before and after, right? And then the following week you want to keep going and kind of like follow up or push a little more. But then technically you want to mentally close it out because you got to start focusing on other things, but you want to kind of, and then also like evaluate how you did, what you could have done better, and how many emails did you get and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other, like, I don't want to put these in order of importance because I feel like they're all equally important, but obviously
that one is first. Yeah.
Yeah. Is like the framework. So that's like, you got to have that. The second one we have is finding out if your customers are ready, which is like another thing I didn't do well. Because this also relates to how well you know your product and your service and your business. The better you know it in the context, I guess, of like the potential clientele or customers that you're reaching out to or trying to pull in, I think will allow you to be more successful as a business, pre-launch and post-launch. So I think it's important in the pre-launch phase to focus on if the customers that you're approaching are ready for you. And what that really means, at least for me, is just knowing that they're ready for what your product is or what your service is. It might be too soon, or it might be too late, or it might be like, how are they different from all the others I've seen? So you have to make sure you're appealing to whatever questions they might have against it or whatever doubts they might have when they see it, so that even if they're not ready, you can find a different part that is ready and like amplify that to them. Because I think it's how you're going to position yourself to the customers. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think that even speaks to the target audience, even in terms of price point. Like if you sell, quilts for $600 a quilt, you can't just be, marketing to people who don't even care about quilts and can't even afford your quilt. So
yeah,
that customer base isn't ready. And I think Sasha too, in the beginning, I can't remember what you had it, but I think it was like paleo friendly was one of the words. Like she was trying to describe her muffins. Yeah, she went through all these words to describe the muffins because she knew, like, she wrote Botana Bites, but she knew there had to be a description, right? Because, like, what are Botana Bites? But I think at the time you took out paleo friendly because people didn't know about it or it wasn't as common at the time. And then she ended up...
There's many reasons.
I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of reasons. And then she even changed some ingredients and then because she just realized it wasn't appealing to the right... the customers just weren't ready. Yeah. Like, people were still just focused on, like, oh, my God, it's gluten-free,
Yeah. Well, and I think... and a lot of people thought they were cupcakes in the beginning.
Oh, yes, that
that was another challenge. But I guess that's where pre-launching is important too, or even if you are like sharing photos of your products or something too, like something more specific or not as exclusive, then at least you're able to get feedback or just see what people think of the product before you actually launch it. That way you know what to tweak before fully going live, or like before fully making your website live. You can change certain elements of your website to kind of make sure those misunderstandings are cleared up, so that when people see it, they know exactly what your product is and what they're going to go to you for. I guess that also, I thought of too, like how important the tagline is of your business. Or like, I feel like for a business owner, you can think of like 10 different taglines and you're like, they all fit perfectly or they all sound good. And it's hard to really just pick one. And I think that's something probably a lot of business owners struggle with, like deciding on. But I think in the pre-launch phase, it's important to also figure out what your best tagline is for your audience. And again, like I feel like nowadays too, it's easier to do a pre-launch in a more open way because people like authenticity and they like to feel like they're a part of something. So if you make people feel like they're a part of creating your business, or like pitching in their ideas and their thoughts, they're definitely going to come back to you, number one. And number two, they're going to support you like long term because they now feel like they're personally involved or like invested. Obviously, you should maintain like the control and leadership of your own business. But I think it's nice, like some businesses will just put out there like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this packaging. What do you think of this option or this option or this option? And I think people love that. But then the business owner also knows whatever they're choosing is exactly what their customers want. So even during a pre-launch, you could look at it that way, even if it's a tagline or a flavor that you're about to launch as like your main launch. Or maybe you have like 5 flavors, but you only want to launch 2 to begin with. But you're like, which 2 are the ones? Like the ones. And I think pre-launching can serve that purpose too, where you can get customer feedback to know that they're ready.
Right. And I feel like, if you compare it to a big corporation, those people usually do like a series of interviews, focus groups, a ton of research, probably in the earlier parts of their planning. But you don't have that kind of, those resources. Yeah. So your audience is basically your focus group. And yeah, like Sasha said, like keep a degree of whatever, privacy, leadership.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to already have a tagline because you're like, that's technically in the beginning stages, but don't be afraid at the possibility that you might have to tweak it once you start getting people involved, right? Because in the beginning, you're just in your bubble, in your craft room or in your kitchen thinking of this stuff. So I think that's another big one. Again, this after the creating a plan, this list is not in any order, but that's another big one. So basically, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but the website would be the next one. And not creating a website, you should already have one or a place to buy your products. It doesn't have to be your own website. But the landing page, it's not the same as just a cover page. It could be a cover page that says coming soon, but a landing page is like specifically where you want them to go for a specific reason. So sometimes it could be like the pop-up that's like sign up for our newsletter. But sometimes it could also be like if they got your link from a blogger and it says download, enter your email to get this free guide. That is a specific landing page that you could have created just because someone came from that blogger. And that's how you can track maybe giving out freebies and stuff like that. So it could be a coming soon page, but I think it could also be a specific page to get pre-orders or whatever it is.
It's an opportunity to secure future sales, which I think is the whole goal of a pre-launch. So I feel like that's why the landing page is so important, because that's how they're going to find out more information. That's how they're going to close the deal, or how you're going to close the deal. Is like they go there and now they know like, okay, if I sign up, I'll know when this product is live or when this service is available. Or if I enter my email, then I'll get a discount code whenever they go live. Like you can do different strategies or use different strategies when you have the landing page. But if you don't have a landing page, there's no real way that you'll lock in a sale. Even if someone, messages you on Facebook about it or, says I'm super interested, I think they need that kind of like guided structure to go by in order to solidify the sale.
So yeah, we just wanted to take it a step further because the obvious like thought is, oh, sign up for our newsletter, which is an action to take. But sometimes people are just like, oh, I'm just going to do a cover page that says coming soon. And since they don't have a website for them to go to, they're like, oh, check out our Instagram. That's not an action that you want someone to take. That's not closing anything. You want them to sign up for an email list or, browse pre-orders or whatever it is. And if you give them a reason to sign up, then that's even better. But yeah, directing them elsewhere and just saying coming Friday is not a landing page.
Yeah. So make sure your landing page has a purpose and a function, I think is what we're trying to say, is like, make sure it's either the final stop of a potential sale since you're not live yet, or it provides some sort of like further purpose for once you're launched to where like you're connected to that person.
Yeah, definitely. And of course have your social media and all that going as well.
Yeah. And I moved up. We had collect emails at the end, but I just moved it into this set up a website section.
Oh, okay. So we can go into that.
Well, I guess our next thing is the influencer marketing, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about emails.
Well, no. I mean, I feel like we kind of touched on it where like as long as your landing page allows people to sign up for a newsletter or...
Well, I think it's important to note too, though, is yes, that's the ultimate action. But some of the ways you can hype up your pre-launch is doing a giveaway. Or offering these free downloads. And I think it's worth talking about. So think about maybe you can write a quick guide on something that you do that doesn't give away your product for free, obviously. Or they sign up and they get a discount code, or you're doing a giveaway, which is going to lead into our next thing, which is working with influencers. But if you plan a giveaway that maybe gives someone a sample or the ability to try out your product, or if you do pre-orders, but there's only a limited quantity. Like there's so many different little things you could do, but the easiest and free or cost-effective ones I would say are free downloads or a giveaway if you're not as digitally inclined there. So,
or if you're creating like a wellness product and you have a blog already, or the blog led you into starting your business. Like you could also have it be where like they go to the landing page for the product, but it connects them to the blog. And now you have more people following the blog, but they're also, being updated about your product coming out. So, I mean, it depends on what you're specializing in and what your business is. But as long as you're offering something, I think that's what matters.
Yes. So I think that's probably one of the easiest things in the plan. I know, again, you're only doing this 2 weeks out before. You're not sitting here creating an entire marketing plan. You're going to be freaking in the New York Times. I mean, if you can get that, that's awesome. But we're talking most small business owners here. But if you can get into like, I guess this will go into our next bit here, but the newest thing, which we probably maybe rolled our eyes at some point in our lives, but influencer marketing.
Yes.
But it's so important. It's crazy. They already did the work of reaching out to tons of people, You don't have tons of people.
Yeah, I mean, my main question when I thought of this one, when we talked before the call, was like, and I'm just saying this for everyone, I guess I always thought of influencer marketing once you have like clout and like something to show for it, because it's like, why would that influencer pick my product over like the other people that are sending them free stuff all the time? But I think it is important in a pre-launch, even if you can solidify 1 or 2 influencers out of like the 30 you reached out to, because I still think people like new products and they like things that are upcoming and new, and there will be those few influencers that I think are willing to help new businesses, or they have like a special soft spot for like startups or something. But I think it would help because there's more hype, even just because it's new. So I feel like there's already an advantage in that sense. Whereas if you already did launch and then you reached out to the influencer, you're competing with other products that they're also putting out there. But I feel like if the influencer is like, hey, I just tried this brand new product, they just launched last week, I think it's more appealing to their audience too.
Right. And they when you're scouting out your influencers, you're not just picking, oh, she's a blogger, I'm just going to choose her. I mean, you choose someone, like at least for me, I look for people who are party bloggers or people who are in the age group that I want to, that I'm targeting and like to celebrate, or their style fits in with the color scheme of what I'm about to do. So, I mean, there's all these things I take into account. And I also see if how they did other collabs. So, you know, sometimes they don't even post it that well. Like, they just like did a picture and that's it. That's all we ever heard about. And some people have highlights that feature their collabs, which I think is great. So those are the people you want to look for. And yeah, and like Sasha said, even if you get one or two, you'd be surprised how many people respond and want to collab. One, because they want free stuff, but two, if you pick the good ones, like if you scout for the good ones, they'll like I've had this blogger write a whole blog post, which is honestly ideal because that lives forever on the internet. So it's much more worth it than just a post that's deleted, you know, or
yeah. And I guess that could be included in influencer marketing when it comes to pre-launching, is like thinking of people to reach out to that you could partner with that could write a blog post or something else, because it's a new product. I do think you have some weight when reaching out to these people because it's a new product and people like that. And even if, like, let's say none of the influencers wanted to partner with you because it's new and because they're like, I don't know, I think it's still good because now you already have a list of people you want to reach out to. Once you launch, you can reach back out to them and say, hey, look, it's been a month or it's been this. Like, you have that conversation started and you also have that mindset already in you. So it's still just something you're already working on prior to going live, which is helpful.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is just you have to just send it out because obviously, like, let's say someone is partnering with Nike. They probably won't go for you right now because they're probably like full of collabs because they already partnered with Nike and all these other big companies are going to want to partner with them. But if you see someone that had like a decent like partnership, like a higher ranking business than you, and they responded to you, that is a cause for celebration to you.
Yeah.
And like, even if, for example, they only had 30,000 followers, if they're in the correct market, like if they're in the party market, at least for me, that speaks way more than someone with 150,000 followers that's in sports. Yeah. So I think it's really important to just not overthink that part. And I hate the word influencer now because I feel like people abuse it. So you need to get over that because now you need them. And yes, you're giving away a sample of your product in whatever way that you want to give it for free. But if they do justice with it, even if they take a professional photo shoot, like maybe they're just good at photographing your product, that is worth so much more than you paying a product photographer. I mean, like all you have to do is give them one product, you know? Right. So, it's definitely worth it. It's free publicity and there's just no excuse not to do it because it's so within your reach. You know, it's just on Instagram or TikTok. And you know how hard it is to get a freaking feature article in a magazine, but who even reads magazines anymore? Like, I'd much rather get someone with 1 million followers posting a story about my product. So, or even better, maybe they'll agree to be the face of your product or, you know, and they'll always post about it. Or I read something that was like, you know, at your launch day, maybe they'll show up, whether virtually or whatever, and maybe people come just to see that person. But whatever, now you can talk about your product. So I try to, in the beginning, when I started doing the party kits, I was trying to like get those collabs. I think for Christmas I had like 5 collabs and it was a lot of work. But it was honestly worth it. Like I feel like even getting those blog posts up, now I could be like featured on this, featured on that. Like I had so much more credibility. Yeah. So just wanted to note that on influencer marketing.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important.
It is awkward. I'm not going to lie. It's awkward. You got to get over it. And then on the same note, but going into the next topic, is basically creating sneak peeks, teasers. You're creating FOMO by creating limited quantities or, you know, and again, exclusivity, but not vague, okay? Not what is your product, but
Yeah.
ooh, I want that. Oh my God, there's only 5? Gotta get it now.
Yeah.
That works, man. I posted last day to get your kit. Boom, 2 orders.
Yeah.
So
Definitely effective. Yeah, I think what's nice about this part of it, or part of like the pre-launch aspect, is I guess it matches what I was saying earlier with like the curiosity and the excitement, where it's like FOMO, but it's also just like you're curious about it and you're excited because it's new. And like I think a part of us being human too is just like, oh, I want to support that person like starting this new journey or like doing this new project. So I think even appealing to that side of it could help with like the creating FOMO aspect, where you're also offering a more personal side to it, because I feel like we always see businesses after they've already started. Or even if we're in like a local town, we just all of a sudden one day see a building. Now it's a different building, like different business. And it feels kind of foreign or kind of just like abrupt. But I think people like a more like slow transition into things. So I feel like it's a way to kind of like introduce yourself or introduce your business to people before overtly saying buy my stuff.
yeah.
So I think it also has a more like humanistic quality to it, that appeals to people because they feel like they're a part of it. They feel like they're included. They see your journey. They see the person behind everything. And I think that's ultimately today, especially like why people follow and support businesses, is they see who's behind it and they get a little bit more like personally invested in that than just what the product serves or the service. So I think that's another reason it's super important to just like create the hype in the pre-launch, and kind of like generate that curiosity.
Yeah, even if, like she said, even if the hype is not an actual product, it's following your journey into your first business launch. Okay, so I'm gonna say this like quick side story. I don't know if I told you about this, but I was working at SLS one day and I was sitting across my coworker, Jessica. And Jessica follows a lot of influencers, and she said this one blogger was all of a sudden, I guess her colleague was just like shooting her video or on her story basically like all day, and it was seemingly like she was going to get engaged. Like it was like this huge plan of her boyfriend planning an engagement to her. But like it went on for, I swear, like 48 hours before she like flew to Paris. Like everyone was like following this blogger, and just to get, so technically the launch is the engagement. She gained, I feel like, over 100,000 followers just from those 48 hours, because the excitement of it, and all you're doing is following her journey. You don't even get anything out of it. And then at the end, it didn't even show the engagement. It just showed her coming back with the ring. I was like, I watched for 48 hours. But me, I'm not even into bloggers. I don't even know that girl.
Well, I think in today's world, and it started with reality TV, MTV and all that shit, but I think people just love people. And the more personal you are and the more you share about yourself, they feel like they know you. And I feel like once you feel like you know someone, you're just more interested in what they do and what they have and what they're showing, or what they're offering. So I think that plays into business a lot. And I did fail on this when it came to Banana Bites, because I don't know, I just felt weird sharing myself on an online platform. Like it just felt foreign to me, and just, I don't know, I wasn't ready. But I have noticed a lot of the businesses that have owners that are super engaged and they're always present online. They're always sharing stuff, even if it's just what they ate or how their day was or some random dream they had. Like it doesn't matter. I feel like as long as they're just on that platform and they're sharing something, someone's watching. Yeah. And as long as someone's watching, that's potential for something else. So I think that's a good example of what you're talking about with that engagement, because one, the excitement, like the hype, right, around it, because it's a big event. It's a big moment in someone's life. So you want to feel like you're a part of it or see what it looks like for someone else. But I think it's also, you feel like you know the person. Like now, how many people remember that specific 48-hour period? Probably everyone that followed her and saw it. Like, it's now in their memory forever just because she happened to share it on social media and people were on it and saw it. So I feel like
it could have even been a curated plan to gain followers, but it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think just the more you share, the better. And I think in a pre-launch too, you can try to like use that time for your business and kind of yourself in your business to find a comfortable spot for you to feel comfortable in sharing yourself through your business, which I think could also just be another plus of doing a pre-launch, is like you're finding your comfort level with sharing how personal you want to get with others through your business. Because I always thought too, like when people followed Botana Bites, I was like, they're following the product, they're not following me. Like they don't care what I ate, or they don't care what I'm doing. But I did have mentors that were like, no, you have to share more about yourself, because they're actually supporting Botana Bites because it's an extension of you.
Of a person,
and I do think that's very true. So don't underestimate, I guess, how personal you can be through social.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, we've talked about this back when we were doing social media ads on our show, but you know, a lot of people put up a front on their Instagram, and people judge them for that. Like, oh, that's not your real life. But you need to separate yourself from that when it comes to your business. And you don't have to necessarily show all the perky sides, but show the most relevant business sides, I guess. Like,
did you say relevant? That was
relevant.
So sorry. That was great. Sorry.
Like even if I'm watching Netflix, I've posted on my story taking a crafting break, which technically I'm just watching Netflix, but it's a side of me that I relate to my business, because I guess I was taking a crafting break. So.
Yeah, well, I feel like for me too, when I thought of everything I could share in my day pertaining to my business, like pertaining to Botana Bites, right, which could cover herbal remedies, healthy eating gluten-free, exercising, wellness, health. I mean, it could cover a lot of different stuff. And I feel like I embody that depending on the phase of life I'm in. But I remember there were times where I think to myself, like, oh, I should share this, or, oh, this is relevant, or this, whatever, relevant.
Relevant 2021.
But I just picture an elephant. It makes me so happy. Anyway.
But like a very fashion trendy one, because it's relevant.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I think like part of it was I never thought of bringing out my phone. Like I just never thought of taking out my phone and taking a picture. Like I just couldn't train myself to do that. And I also was like, who's going to care? Who actually cares to see it? This is stupid. Whatever. I judged it. And I guess now that I'm doing acupuncture as kind of like my services-based entrepreneur journey, since Botana Bites was like a product-based one, I see it differently because I am the service. So I understand like I have to show up in a different way because I am the person behind what I'm providing, literally. But I think what also changed it for me and allowed me to break through like judging myself or forgetting to take out my phone is like you are a leader in what your business is about. And if you're a leader, you should show that by leading by example. And I think as long as you're leading by example through sharing posts and stuff that are relevant, people start to gravitate towards that. Yeah. They start to see it more often. They start to see the full picture. They don't just see random, blurbs or random things about like what you're doing, but there's no full connection or full story behind it. So I think it's important. I think it should also just be when you're ready. Like if I would have heard this from myself like 3 years ago, I would have been like, I can't do it.
Right.
It's only learning by not doing that I feel this way, but I do kind of wish I was more comfortable in that when I started Botana Bites, because I think it would have been a game changer.
Which I think the biggest curve was not, you don't have ideas and content to post. It was doubt and the curve of just learning an app, Which when you put it like that, it's like, wow, really? We missed out because we didn't want to learn how to use an app and we were doubting ourselves, fear of failure. Because you're walking around like, oh, I could post this. I could post that. I've done that too. And then you just don't. So, again, the difference between us and them is that they did it. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this was
and I think that part of it is like a personal side of like running the business or even the pre-launch, because if it's an unfamiliar territory to you or a territory that feels a little uncomfortable, like it is going to take a lot more from you to feel comfortable in that space. But I think in today's age, it's like, it's too important to overlook or excuse yourself out of. Like, it's just, well, I know I've seen like some businesses too that I followed from the beginning of Botana Bites, and I see them how they are now. And they share so much more now. There's so much more personal. I mean, there's like this one woman I know that started like a body care business where it's just like body care products that are natural. And at first it was just product focused, and she had good product photography and kind of just like random photo shoots with her and her girls, like showing off the products and stuff. But now, I mean, I recently saw a post where she was talking about her battle with her thyroid issues and how that journey's been going. And she talks about her kids and how it is to be a mom. And like, instead of it deterring people like, oh, she's not talking about body care products, I'm not going to follow this anymore, it's bringing more people in, because now she's appealing to a larger audience. Like, she's now appealing to people that have thyroid issues or people that are moms. Like, it can only add. It does not take away. And if anyone stops following because you're sharing more, that just means they probably weren't real followers to begin with. So, oh well.
No, it's very true. I think a lot of times we fight with our own morals, where we're like, well, we don't want to be all over the internet. And it's like, you need to honestly step out of that. And you, as a human being, when it comes to your business, you're part of your brand. So if you're saying that orange and silver are your brand colors, then, and you're basically going to use orange and silver a lot, your face is also part of the brand. Your face is going to be in there a lot. And you just need to not relate it and be like, oh, well, my morals are I'm not going to be on social media. Well, if you're not going to be on social media, you better be getting published in the newspaper and blog articles up the hoo-ha, because how else is somebody going to know you? Technically, when you have, let's say, 1,000 eyes on you, let's say you have 1,000 followers, maybe 10% even take an action, like are interested in going to your website. Maybe like they like go through, maybe they like a product. Only 10% of that maybe add to cart. And then from there, let's see who even checks out. So
yeah,
really, you're talking about 5 people out of 1,000 that might buy your stuff. So you better be in front of 100,000 people if you're trying to make any sales.
Yeah. Well, I think like if the struggle is feeling comfortable in front of the camera or feeling comfortable sharing, or you're judging yourself or whatever it is, I think for me, like what overcame that for me was connecting with like a more like purpose for me of like why I share. So for me, I cared more about pulling in people that had like-minded interests. And if my interest is acupuncture and Chinese medicine, I'm just going to start talking about that. That way, whatever conversations come my way, they're going to be about something I care about and something I'm interested in and something I want to help people with. So I think you can kind of like reroute it to where you're coming onto your social media platform for you, not for.
No! Okay. You're coming in for you and not for them. It's still cutting out, but
I think it's still messed up.
Okay. It's back. For you and not for them.
For me, that helped because I felt like I was gaining more from it instead of it taking from me. And I think there could be an interesting thing that happens where you're sharing a lot, but it's like taking from you in like a different way. Whereas if you're like sharing a lot, you're gaining a lot from it because now you're having these like-minded conversations and you're building a community off of like what you're about. And the only way that's possible is if you share what you're about. So I think it's just reframing everything so that you see like you're a leader in your community, even if that community is 5 people. Like because you're about that product and that industry and that specific purpose or problem you're solving, like that's where you're coming from. So that's where your people should connect from too.
Right. And we talk about this in another episode where we say
Yeah.
social media is a tool. And if you start, at least for running a business, and you absolutely have to view it that way. And I think, at least from Sasha and the cat. And I think, like Sasha said, when she started following more people that were relevant to her, even, your feed starts filling up with things that you care about,
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, of course, whatever, you probably follow your friends on your business, but I would fill it up with more, let's say, with acupuncture related things, because it's not, you can go on your personal profile and support your friends all you want, but you're trying to grow your business. So your friends better not be offended by the fact that you don't like their post from your business profile. So it's not about that. It's about, yeah. And you can view other acupuncture accounts not as competition, but more of like what's trending, and I should be doing this too, or if you're able, a step above that. So,
or just inspiration,
yeah, so that you're not defeated by everything you see and, oh my gosh, overwhelmed. It's so much. Like, oh, I like this idea, let me try this, or oh, I have another idea based off of this idea. So that it's almost like a learning environment, like she said, rather than, oh my gosh, there's just so much content. Because you know what? There's so much content, and there will be more content. But if you want to start a business, this is what it is. This is the game that you jumped into. It's like you started Jumanji, but you thought you were playing Monopoly. Well, sorry, you're already in Jumanji. You got to keep playing.
Yeah. I think too, it's like finding out what you like or what you want to gain from it. So like for me, I notice when I go to anything, I want to learn something. Like I either want to read an article or hear something educational or like hear information or something. So when I would go on Instagram, I noticed like I wasn't getting that from it. So it just felt like a big freaking trash bin. Like I just didn't connect to it at all. And I think I just was like, okay, then I'm just going to start following like doctors and people that actually like post articles or whatever, so that I can gain information and share it with others, or just put, my own information out there so that any conversations that come to me are more like educational and stuff. So if you just go on there and you like design or aesthetics, like follow more accounts that are, related to that, or share your own creations and like get more people in the conversation like that way. But find what you want to go to the platform for, and then just build your community like based on that, so that it serves you and others, I think is like the big takeaway for me.
Yeah. And I'm just going to appeal to the people who might not be taking this as strongly, like meaning, maybe they're not doing it full throttle. I think if you just even have your top 3 to 5 favorite acupuncture accounts that you can think of, and you should be able to recall that. If you can't find 5 inspirational accounts, then did you even do any research? Engagement, obviously, there's like a whole thing for social media, but if you at least have 5 for the people who have like a full-time job and they're just doing this on the side for fun, at least 3 to 5 people that you can go to their account at any time and be like, oh, this is what's happening right now. Oh, I can read something, or, oh, this is what's trending, or blah, 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 whatever. And then you never know. Maybe you'll end up working with them.
Yeah.
I think that kind of covers the pre-launch. So just to recap, create a plan, see if your customers are ready, your landing page on your website, as well as all your online presence stuff. But basically creating some kind of action-based plan before you launch. So whether that's with influencers, giveaways, teasers, limited quantity, pre-orders kind of thing, or just collecting emails for the email list that gives them a discount code or a free download guide, whatever it is, just some kind of action-based plan before you start.
Yeah, I'd say that was a good wrap up.
Yay. So yes, this weekend Sasha will be visiting. Follow our shenanigans. But also my birthday's Friday. I hope I get this kit out in time. Every
You will.
small business owner's struggle. I hope this comes out on time. And it's called Dots and Dashes, which is polka dots and stripes, like black and white. Well, it's black and white, but it has accent colors because if you know anything about the kits and pieces, we love a good accent color.
Oh my
but
gosh, yes.
because it is a birthday kit, it has the accent color you can choose between purple, like lavender, or mint. So it has
Ooh.
the napkins and the extra plates are going to be the accent color.
Oh. I can't wait to see it. I haven't even seen anything.
That's okay because there's
She's keeping it very exclusive. For her
so exclusive that it's even exclusive to me. Well, I thought honestly yesterday I was trying to set this up and I thought this was going to take 2 hours and I was like, it took me 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But then I don't know what happened. I think I had a coffee at 6 p.m. and I felt heart palpitations. And I was like, what's happening? I can't breathe. So I'm going to keep going now with this after our talk. But next week we are talking about the types of businesses. If you are questioning what even am I offering, or is this a product, a service? Is this a business-to-business relationship? What's happening here? So we're just going to go into a little bit more about those types of details. So, yay! Tune in next week. And again, feel free to follow us on @Sasha and the Cat. Subscribe to this channel. We are back every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow the Dots and Dashes adventure at the Kits and Pieces. And I feel like in a few weeks, Sasha's going to have a big announcement soon. So
yes, stay tuned.
We
can't wait.
Yes. Hype.
One of the biggest announcements of my life. So
2021 is looking up.
Yeah, it's looking way up.
So we'll definitely catch y'all on the flip side. And thanks for joining.